Hi, I'm Rae Huck, a triple certified business strategist, and I created this training to help you confidently step into a more strategic support role as a virtual assistant. Today, we're going to dive into Agile Project Management, what it is, how it works, and how you, as a VA, can start using it to impress your clients, organize projects more efficiently, and boost your value. You don't need to be a certified project manager to benefit from Agile. If you're supporting online entrepreneurs, especially in fast-moving industries, understanding Agile will set you apart. Online business moves fast. Plans shift, new offers drop, and clients need someone who can keep up. Agile project management is built for flexibility. Unlike traditional project plans that are mapped out months in advance, Agile lets you adjust on the fly. If you want to grow into a VA who leads, not just follows, this framework is a game changer, and it's about being proactive, communicative, and strategic. Agile is flexible. Iterative approach to managing work. Instead of planning every single detail up front, teams break work into short cycles. We call these sprints, so they can adapt as they go. You plan, act, check in, and then adjust. That way, you're never stuck following a plan that no longer makes sense. Agile works especially well for creative projects like content marketing, launches, and product builds, anything where feedback, speed, and change are common. So Agile is perfect for projects like social media content, website updates, launch prep, email marketing, podcast production, course builds. So we're going to use Agile when there's a lot of feedback or iteration, priorities are shifting quickly, the final version isn't clear at the start, and if you've ever worked on a client project that changed directions halfway through, you've experienced the need for Agile. Okay, so I want to go over a few key concepts here that are really important to understand when it comes to Agile. So, a sprint is a short 1 to 2 week cycle where focused work gets done. Think of it like a mini deadline to stay on track. And then we have the backlog. This is a running list of tasks, requests, or ideas related to a project. This is where you draw your sprint tasks from. And then the stand-ups, those are just quick check-ins, either daily or weekly. To keep everyone aligned, you might ask, what did I do yesterday? What's next? What's blocking me? These three tools help agile teams really stay focused, flexible, and in sync. So there's a few different agile roles. And the one I don't have here in this slide is the product owner. So they set the project priorities, and that's going to usually be your client. And then we have the Scrum Master. They're going to remove the blockers and keep the team moving. Sometimes this might be the virtual assistant or the online business manager or the director of operations. Then we have the team. They're executing the work. So that's you and other people on the team. Maybe it's your social media manager. Maybe it's your launch manager. And then the virtual assistant. Again, I say all the time, the most important role in a business is the virtual assistant. And within this, you're often going to play multiple roles. So you're going to organize the work, track it, communicate the progress. You're the glue between that strategy and execution. So how do virtual assistants fit into agile teams? As a virtual assistant, you're often the one who sees the full picture. You might help manage the backlog and organize tasks into sprints, create and maintain boards and tools like ClickUp or Asana, schedule stand-ups or weekly check-ins, track the progress and flag delays. We don't want delays. We want to really make sure that we are delivering the product on time. Communicate updates between team members and the client. Agile gives you this framework to be proactive instead of reactive. So here are some examples of tasks you may handle using Agile principles. Maybe you're organizing weekly sprint planning calls or agendas, creating or updating SOPs based on what's learned each time you do a sprint as a team. Managing the task board to ensure nothing slips through the cracks, collecting the client feedback during and after each sprint, communicating progress and changes to the team, noting blockers so the team can pivot quickly. You don't need to master all of this, but knowing how to keep things moving is powerful. And I will say, if you are a virtual assistant doing this type of work, you really need to be moving into that OBM, online business manager type of role, or a project manager type of role. But we have to show our clients that we are proactive. We can handle this, and then they are going to want to take us to that next step with them. And I apologize for the dog in the background. I'm a work from home business owner, so you get the real deal here. Okay, so here's some of my favorite tools to support agile workflows. We have ClickUp and Asana for sprint boards, backlogs, task tracking. Then there's Slack and Voxer. We want that real-time communication. We want to be able to do quick updates so we're not relying on emails. Not everyone's in their email all the time, but oftentimes they do have Slack or Voxer up. I prefer Slack, but there's a lot of coaches out there you may be working for that do like Voxer. And then we have Notion or Google Docs for meeting notes, SOPs, documentation. Most likely, if you are working with an online business owner, if it's a small business, they're probably using Google. And then Loom. I love Loom for async updates or quick how-tos. If it's something that's a little bit too complicated to send a Slack message about, just film a quick Loom and show what you're seeing or what you're worried about or what you're checking in on, so that we make sure that we're all on the same page. And these are really the best tools that your team needs to be using consistently. So here's a quick example of a simple workflow. Let's say you're managing a client launch. Here's how it might work. So you add all the launch tasks to your master backlog. You're going to select those high priority tasks for a sprint, for the first sprint. Maybe it's funnel copy and design. And then you're going to work through them over the next 1 to 2 weeks, tracking in ClickUp. And you're going to host an end of the sprint review to get feedback. And then you're going to plan sprint 2. Maybe because you now have that final copy and design done, you're going to set up your email automations. You're going to do a QA, social content. Basically, we're going to rinse and repeat this until the project is done. And sometimes there are going to be a couple sprints going on at once. Again, showing your client that you can handle this is really going to take you into that next step in your business to become that OBM. So the best practices for VAs when it comes to Agile, we want to keep our task boards clean, visible, and up to date. We don't want them to be messy. Just, make sure you go through there, because oftentimes tasks will get added and they're not relevant. No one's actually working on them. There's no deadline. There's no one assigned to it. Just keep them very clean and visible. We're going to communicate regularly. Even small updates matter. And you'll have to get to know your client and how they like to receive updates. Do they like a bullet point list? Do they like them? You'll have to figure out how that works for your team and for your client. We're going to use short notes and checklists to keep things efficient. We're going to celebrate the completed work, not just what's left to do. So we want to make sure that we appreciate our team. We're excited that we hit this milestone. We're moving on to the next, because this is what people are doing. We want to celebrate them. Be flexible, but don't skip structure. So process creates freedom. And all of these habits here are going to position you as a reliable and strategic asset to the team, again, allowing you to move to that next step. So the most common mistakes I see in some of the businesses I have worked with, and how to avoid these, is too much tech and not enough process. We don't want to let the tools distract from the actual work. A lot of entrepreneurs like to sign up for every single software program, and it becomes overwhelming. So we want to keep our tools simple and only the ones we actually need. And then skipping retrospectives. So always review what worked and what didn't, and take those notes. So next time we do this, like if you're doing a launch, the next time you do a launch, you make sure that you go back and you read all of your notes, and then you, as a team, can do a better job next time. If no daily or weekly updates, we want to make sure, I know no one loves meetings, but we want to make sure that we are having updates. We're aligned as a team, because that silence creates confusion when we aren't doing that. So yes, send your, weekly updates in Slack. And some people don't do a video huddle every day or every week. They have a huddle channel in their Slack. And if that works really well for your team, if your team is all across all the time zones across the world, that might be something you consider. But make sure that you're having a cadence of consistent updates within this plan. And then poor sprint planning. So we want to set realistic outcome-driven goals. This is important. We want to be very realistic and make these very clear. Agile is not about being perfect. It's about progress and learning fast. You don't need to be a certified project manager to lead with Agile. If you're not in corporate, I wouldn't get the certification personally, but obviously that's up to you, but you really don't need to be certified in this to be able to develop your skills in project management. You just need to start using the principles. So you're going to prioritize, you're going to check in, you're going to adapt, and you're going to communicate. The more you apply this way of working, the more you'll grow your skills, your confidence, and your clients' trust. If you want more trainings like this, where I go deeper into the details of how to do things like this, I invite you to join me in Start to Scale. It's only $7 a month, and I have a ton of step-by-step business trainings in there. We have templates and strategy. It helps you grow smarter, and we don't want to make it hard. And it is geared towards the business owner, but as a virtual assistant, the more that you understand about online business, how funnels work, the psychology of sales, or even just utilizing all these templates if you're handling any social media, stuff like that, it can be really valuable for you. And you really do belong in the room where business decisions are being made. So I encourage you to join me. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always here to help you get where you are going. Have a great day.